Hey Pokemon Masters! The region of Galar is ancient. It stretches back over 20,000 years when the Pokemon Eternatus fell from the sky inside some kind of egg or sphere. 20,000 years is also a date mentioned in Claydol's Pokedex entry, a Pokemon that was created around then, so we can infer that people have probably existed in the Pokemon worlds for at least 20,000 years. But stretching back further than that, we know that fossil Pokemon existed in the Pokemon world for a long time before, millions of years before. And in fact, the fossil Pokemon of the Galar region seem to stretch so far back that their fossils can't be fully recovered, and scientists can't be sure quite what they look like. And there is one Pokemon, Mew, that according to its Pokedex entries is said to be the ancestor to them all, and Mew can actually be found in the Galar region. But why is that? Is the Galar region one of the most ancient in all of the Pokemon world, and could it be the origin spot for a lot of Pokemon life? Let's take a look. Hey Pokemon Masters, my name is Berkey and thank you for clicking on my video, and yeah, Mew has got me interested lately. I've been doing a lot of research into Galar ever since Pokemon Sword and Shield came out, and one of the things that's got me the most interested in the region is the fact that it's so old. I mean, yes, Kalos had an ancient war 3,000 years ago, and Unova has ancient castles from around 2,500 years ago buried under the surface of all of its modern day cities. And when you look at regions like Kanto or Johto, they have these big metropolis-like cities, and the oldest stuff is maybe a few hundred years old when you take a look at, for example, the Equity Tower. But Galar's history is over 20,000 years old, and there's so much ancient life here. There's a lot to talk about, and the Pokemon that's really caught my interest here is Mew, because Mew can be found in the Galar region. And the reason I'm really talking about Mew today and investigating this like a Pokemon professor is because today's video is sponsored by Pokemon Masters and the company that creates them, DNA, and their new Oak and Mew Sync Pair event that's going on right now. Yes, for the first time ever in any Pokemon game, you can play as Professor Oak with his partner Pokemon, Mew. For those of you who don't know what Pokemon Masters is, it's a free-to-play mobile game. It's a Pokemon game that you can download on the Google Play or Apple Store. You can use the link at the top of the description to go there. You grab it now using my link, and you can learn even more about Professor Oak and Mew, and they are absolutely free. If you go and download the game right now, or you log in right now, Oak and Mew as a sync pair is just part of the game. You're going to be able to use them and train with them, and you're going to be able to learn more about them, and I think that's really interesting. Because while yes, there is a story mode, and there are ways to challenge yourself taking on some of the training events that go on. There are legendary Pokemon events that aim to challenge you. The thing that I always love the most about Pokemon Masters are the Pokemon Masters, the characters that you collect within the game. Like Oak, and you can check out their sync pair stories where they spend a day out with their sync pair, and you can learn about them, anything from their relationship to their Pokemon, which in the case of Mew and Oak is very interesting. I've actually done a whole other video all about that and breaking down why Mew and Oak, so you can check that out, that's also linked in the description, as well as just learning more about the Pokemon world in general, which this channel is all about. So do absolutely download it now, please use that link below. Thank you to DNA and Pokemon Masters for sponsoring this video and sponsoring this channel. I really appreciate it. It helps out massively, and of course it allows my mind to go in the position of, okay, let's think about Mew, let's think about Oak and what relationship they have to the worlds of Pokemon that we're investigating currently. And the main one, of course, being the Galar region. Now, there's something the Galar region has that not a lot of other regions have, which is a limited pool of legendary Pokemon. The only other region that I think has less legendary Pokemon than it is Kalos. Actually, no, in the base Kalos game, there are 6 legendary Pokemon. 3 mythicals that are hidden within the code, which are Diancie, Hooper, and Volcanion, and then Xerneas, Yveltal, and Zygarde. In the Galar games, it's technically the exact same amount. There's Type Null and Silvally, which are legendary Pokemon. There's Zacian, Zamazenta, and Eternatus, which are the only 3 new Pokemon, and then there's 1 mythical Pokemon in the code, Mew. That, of course, because it's been transferable via the Pokeball Go Plus since day 1, but I think its inclusion in the game might be a lot more story-oriented than you think. Mew's Pokedex entries are wild. Everything from experts saying that very few people have seen it, to entries talking about how its DNA is said to contain the kind of information for all modern-day Pokemon. Mew is the new species Pokemon because it can become new species. It is the template of Pokemon life. And I know there's that age-old question, which came first, right? The Mew or the Arceus? And my argument would be that Arceus probably did come first. Arceus, according to the Sinnoh mythology in the Canalive library in the Diamond Pearl Platinum games, if you believe that stuff, suggests that a kind of egg of light that was possibly infinity energy. This is all speculation, by the way. I can't hammer home enough. This is all speculation and not official Pokemon lore although the mythology book is in a Pokemon game. But the fact that the light is infinity energy, this is just me speculating here, but the idea is that there was this egg of light that became Arceus. Maybe it was held to be shaped by the unknown, and the Arceus was created, and below Arceus was Dialga, Palkia, Giratina, and the Lake Trio, Mesprit, Uxie, and Azelf. And back when Generation 4 came out and I saw these 3 Lake Guardians for the first time, I immediately thought, hey, they kind of look like Mew. They're psychic type, they have these kind of floaty pixie things, and they've got these long tails with little kind of, I guess the tails get bigger at the end. Small heads, small bodies. I can kind of see the similarity between these Pokemon and Mew. And it would make sense to me if whether you believe the Mew is the ancestor to all Pokemon or the Arceus is, that perhaps the Lake Trio kind of serve as that transitional point between almost like created godlike Pokemon to Mew, a more biological Pokemon. I've theorized about that and talked about that on the channel before, and it's become the basis towards really my whole evolutionary tree series that I did. And actually, if Mew is the ancestor of all Pokemon, I have several little theories about that I've included in with the evolutionary tree. One of which is that if Pokemon life evolves in the Pokemon world similar to how it does in ours, which suggested by like even modern day Pokedex entries like Skorupies or Sizzlepedes, they're said to be related. That would make sense because they would both, if they were real, be classified as arthropods, so that kind of works. If we're assuming Pokemon do evolve in the Pokemon world the same way they do here, or at least some of them do, maybe not legendaries, you would expect them to evolve from a single-celled organism. And there is a Pokemon like that, Solosis. And Solosis, I've theorized before, being a psychic type, could be kind of a shedded cell of Mew, because Solosis' final evolution resembles somewhat of an embryo, which is said to be an inspiration for the creation of Mew. It's kind of supposed to look a bit like a cat, a little bit like an embryo, a little bit like an alien. Again, it's that whole giver of life theme, so that would kind of make sense, and then the cells of Solosis then spread out and became all these other different Pokemon. But you would also expect, if you are the Pokemon template of like 900 other creatures, that some of them, they would look obviously wildly different to you, and others would look very similar. Like, for example, Espeon, which is a psychic cat that evolves from Eevee, a Pokemon with unstable DNA, kind of like Mew, or Esper, another psychic cat said to have incredible power that also evolves into 2 different forms depending on the gender, because again, it's got this kind of very varied DNA, like Mew. And all of these Pokemon, Solosis' line, Esper's line, Eevee's line, including Espeon, they can all be found in the Galar region, just like Mew. So we know that the region is really old and dates back a long time, and we can see that Mew's presence can kind of be felt in a kind of theoretical sense around the Galar region. What else? Well, ancient civilizations we know existed all over the Galar region. This can be seen by Pokemon like Golurk and Sigilyph and Stonjourner and Cofagrigus, well, Yamask and Runegus. The Galarian adaptation of that, because all of these Pokemon, pretty much any Pokemon that is related to ancient life in any way, Claydol, I think I might not have mentioned that. If I did, more Claydol. Claydol can be seen in these statues in the Galar region. All of these ancient golem-like Pokemon, they have lived around and in the Galar region. And speaking of ancient golems, now with the new Crown Tundra DLC coming out, we see the ancient golems of the Regis. The Regis are very much tied to ancient life, with Regigigas said to have helped in moving the continents and shaping the world as we know it. In fact, there are Regis in the further out parts of the Galar region that we haven't even seen before. So yes, there is a lot of ancient civilization and ancient life that we see in Galar, more so than other regions. I mean, yes, okay, the Regis do appear in the Hoenn region, and Regigigas does appear in the Sinnoh region, and the Regis also appear, I believe, in the Unova region. But the things that those regions don't have is the wide array of kind of ancient civilization Pokemon that specifically live in Galar. All of the different kinds of ancient golems live here, including more forms of Regis than anywhere else. And that's not even getting into, as I mentioned earlier on in this video, the fossil Pokemon. Because fossil Pokemon can be found in a lot of the regions of the Pokemon world, but usually you can just pick up a fossil and revive it and get the Pokemon back. Here in the Galar region, the fossils are either so confusing or perhaps so old, scientists can't accurately bring them back, and instead bring them back in these kind of hybridized forms. These kind of mixed-mashed forms that don't quite look right. Perhaps again, that's because the fossils are so old and so confusing. This on top of the fact that the region has the oldest castles and the oldest runes and stone structures. Oh, and speaking of ancient castles and all that, in the Crown Tundra DLC expansion pass, there is a very interesting ancient structure structure surrounding a white tree. In fact, this tree seems to be the centermost point of the Crown Tundra. It seems to be a point of importance. The first thing it really reminded me of is a tree that we see in the Pokemon movies, Lucario and the Mystery of Mew. The Tree of Beginning, an ancient tree protected by Regi Pokemon. Regis that are found all throughout the Crown Tundra. A place where Mew lives, and this place is tied very heavily to the ecosystem. It's also very likely, and again more speculation here, inspired by the World Tree of Norse mythology, which has been the basis of other regions like Kalos, where we have very ancient Pokemon. Yveltal and Zygarde, the Pokemon of life and death, and again X and Y are referenced on these new Regis. Just take a look at the positionings of their eyes, X and Y. And again, a lot of that Norse stuff, a lot of the runes, this stuff is reappearing in the Galar region. The Galar region is clearly very, very old. Now, the next games that I'm speculating, that I'm guessing that we're gonna get are Sinnoh remakes. And that would make sense, because if we're dealing with all of this ancient stuff, then it would only really make sense that we have to visit the Sinnoh region very soon. The Sinnoh region, and specifically Mount Corner and the Spear Pillar, are possibly the origin spot of the Pokemon world as we know it. But that's not to say that continents haven't been moved around a lot. Like I said earlier, Regigigas, a legendary first found in the Sinnoh region, is a Pokemon that is known to have moved continents. Perhaps where Sinnoh stands now is where Galar once stood, or perhaps Galar was part of that same landmass, or maybe it still is, or maybe it doesn't matter. The point is, Galar is probably just as old as Sinnoh, and in fact, when you look at the civilizations and towns in the Sinnoh region, the oldest that you can really see is, I guess, Celestic Town. And you know, that's just like a little village compared to the empires that clearly lived around Hammerlock 20,000 years ago. You know, like the towns like Stone-Side that are hiding Claydol statues. So clearly life was in the Galar region even before Sinnoh, in my opinion. Perhaps the Sinnoh region, or the Pokemon world, it was all created at the same time, with Sinnoh being the center point. But I believe that the Lake Trio went to Galar first, and that is where Mew kind of popped into existence. Mew, the most ancient of all Pokemon, and ancient Pokemon life began there with things like Claydol and Stonjourner and these ancient mixed up fossil Pokemon. A lot of the Galar region protected by ancient Pokemon like the Regis, where legendary Pokemon live in raid dens underground. I mean, this region might literally be the spawning point and the explanation to where legendary Pokemon come from. I mean, when you look at how other games try to force in the legendary Pokemon, you look at Oras, you look at Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, they use wormholes to be the homes of other Pokemon, so it kind of makes sense. But here it's just like, nah, they're just chilling in raid dens underground. Because maybe they really are. Maybe the Crown Tundra is the centermost point. It is very snowy, just like Sinnoh. Maybe there's more of a relation and a tie there. I certainly expect that there will be. And maybe that Tree of Beginning is where Mew came from, where it began, and where from there it then spread out and more biological life was created under it. We'll have to wait and see if there's more Sinnoh ties in the Crown Tundra. I fully expect there will be. Another great sign of this is that we're also getting more fossils in the DLCs, like there's Aurorus is one of the Pokemon on the pictures, so there's lots more to come and lots more to be discovered. In the meantime, you'll have to let me know what you think, of course, in the comments. Every time you leave a like, you leave a comment, it helps more people find my videos, so thank you for doing that. And of course, while you're down there, go to the link in the description, get hold of Pokemon Masters and find out more about Mew and why Professor Oak. Thank you to Pokemon Masters for sponsoring this Pokemon Theory, and if you want to find out even more about Oak and Mew, then do check out my video on that as well. And of course, so hi Pokemon Masters.
This is Ash Ketchum. You just watched a video by Birdkeeper Toby. That makes you a Pokemon Master!
And a massive thank you to those of you supporting me on Patreon, including the big patrons of the month, the Nerd Therapist and Gunnar Clovis. Thank you.